To be here with you guys today. Finally, we got what we asked for. It's about damn time. After demanding it, clamoring for it, Team USA finally puts Caitlin Clark into the starting lineup. However, everything that glitters ain't gold.
Caitlin Clark finally got her first Team USA start against New Zealand. Question for you, did Team USA just quietly admit they had to trust Caitlin Clark more? Comment yes or no if you think they did, and if it was about time, because that is the real story from this game. The final score says Team USA beat New Zealand 101-46 in another blowout. Clark finished with 14 points and 6 assists.
Start the game, great start by New Zealand.
Caitlin Clark tries again. This time it's good.
On the surface, that sounds like just another solid stat line in a game Team USA was always expected to win. But that is not what made this game important. What made this game important is that something changed before the opening tip. For the first time in this tournament, Caitlin Clark was in the starting lineup. And that changes the entire conversation, because a few days ago, the story around Clark was all about her coming off the bench. People were asking why she was not starting. People were debating whether Team USA was easing her in, protecting her, or still trying to figure out how much they trusted her in this environment. But against New Zealand, that question got a very different answer. They started her. And once they did, the game immediately became about more than points. It became about role. It became about trust.
Looking for Clark.
Angel Reese has been so good cleaning the glass that I'm guessing that she does not.
1.5-minute mark of the first half. USA up big, 49-18. Caitlin Clark, no one steps up, drives, kicks it to Becker.
And it became about what Team USA is really learning about Caitlin Clark in this tournament. That is why this game matters. Not because New Zealand pushed Team USA to the limit. They did not. Not because Clark had a crazy 30-point explosion. She did not. This mattered because Team USA changed her role, and Clark responded the way stars respond: calm, efficient, in control. Early in the game, Clark gave everyone the exact image they were waiting for: a deep three. That one shot mattered because it instantly reminded everyone that even in a loaded Team USA lineup, Clark still has a unique kind of pressure on a defense. The moment she crosses half court, the floor feels different. Defenders think differently. The spacing changes, the urgency changes, and even in a blowout, that stands out. But the interesting part is that Clark did not force the game.
Even just holding the ball so they can see it. They steal it just like that. If they see the ball, they can get their hands on it.
After that, she did not start hunting shots. She did not turn the game into a personal statement. She let the game come to her. That is part of why this performance is so important. Because sometimes the loudest way to prove you belong is not by forcing a headline. It is by showing you can run the game cleanly inside a stacked roster without disrupting everything around you. That is what Clark did here. She finished with 14 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 0 turnovers. 0 turnovers, that part cannot be ignored, because when people talk about international basketball, one of the first things they bring up is discipline, decision-making, pace, reading pressure, protecting the ball. So for Clark to get her first start, handle a major role, and finish with 0 turnovers says a lot more than just the scoring total. It says she looked comfortable. It says she looked settled. And most importantly, it says Team USA could trust her with more. The score also helps tell the story. New Zealand briefly hung around early. For a moment, this was not a total runaway. But once Team USA found another gear, the game was over fast. The United States closed the first quarter with a huge run, led 27-12 after one, then won the second quarter 27-6. By halftime, it was 54-18. That is domination. And in games like that, you learn something interesting about stars. Sometimes the box score gets spread around because the team is so deep. Sometimes another score leads the game. Sometimes the highlights are shared across 5 or 6 players, but you can still tell who is shaping the flow. Clark was one of those players. She was not the only reason Team USA dominated, but she was clearly one of the players driving the machine. And that is the bigger point here. This was not one of those nights where Clark needed to prove she could put up numbers. She had already done that earlier in the tournament. She already showed what she could do against Senegal. She already showed she could produce in limited minutes. This game was more about whether Team USA would move her into a more trusted role. They did, and she justified it. The third quarter is probably the best example. That is when Clark really heated up. She scored 6 points in the quarter on 2 layups and a step-back jumper, and it felt like the game completely settled into her rhythm for a stretch. That is a useful detail because it shows this was not just one early three-pointer and a bunch of quiet minutes after that. She had another clear scoring burst later in the game that pushed her total higher and reminded everyone how quickly she can build momentum. Then there was the passing. One of the cleanest moments came when Clark set up Kiki Iriafen for an easy bucket. It looks simple, but that is part of what makes Clark dangerous. She creates easy points that do not always feel dramatic until you look up and realize the defense is constantly reacting to her. And that is why 6 assists matters. Not because 6 is some giant number by itself, but because it matched the eye test. She looked like one of Team USA's offensive engines. She looked like someone the team could play through, not just play around. That is a huge difference. Because when Clark was coming off the bench, the debate was easy to frame. People could say Team USA was being cautious. They could say the roster was crowded. They could say the staff wanted balance. But once she moves into the starting lineup and still looks this comfortable, the debate changes. Now the question is not, should she be trusted? Now the question is, how big should her role become? That is where this gets really interesting heading into the final game against Spain. Because this New Zealand matchup may look like just another blowout in the standings, but for Clark, it feels like a turning point. It feels like the game where Team USA quietly told everyone that her place is growing. And to be honest, they almost had no choice. Clark has been too productive in this tournament to ignore. She has scored efficiently. She has led with her passing. She has looked more in control with each game. And now the coaching staff gave her the start. That does not happen by accident. That happens because what they are seeing in practice, in games, and inside this tournament is matching what fans have been saying for a while. She changes the offense. Even when she is not the top scorer, she changes the offense. Even when she is not dominating the ball every possession, she changes the offense. That is what special guards do. And that is why this performance should not be judged only by whether 14 points feels big enough. That misses the point. The point is that Clark stepped into a bigger role and made it look normal. That is powerful, because the hardest thing for a young star on a loaded national team is not always making highlights. Sometimes the hardest thing is making a complicated situation look easy. Fitting into a veteran roster, playing with pace, making the right reads, knowing when to score and when to organize, not forcing the issue, not wasting possessions. Clark did all of that. And she did it in her first start. So yes, Team USA crushed New Zealand. Yes, the final score was ugly. Yes, this roster is deep enough that one player never has to do everything. But if you were watching closely, the biggest takeaway was simple. Caitlin Clark's role changed. And once it changed, she looked ready for even more. That is why this game matters. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was revealing. It revealed that Team USA is getting more comfortable putting the ball in Clark's hands. It revealed that Clark can start and still keep the offense flowing. And it revealed that the old bench storyline is starting to lose its power. Because when you finally get the start and the game immediately looks this smooth, people stop asking whether you belong. They start asking how far this can go. And that is the real story from USA versus New Zealand. If you're still watching, comment yes if you think Team USA has finally made its Caitlin Clark decision. The one small change I'd still consider is replacing the last line with, if you're still watching, comment yes if you think Team USA finally made the right call with Caitlin Clark.
As Team USA comes back the other way, looking to punish, Caitlin Clark pulls up from deep. And those are the Caitlin Clark logo threes we're used to seeing.
Caitlin Clark just did something that surprised a lot of people. She came off the bench again for the second straight game after exploding in her Team USA debut with 17 points and 12 assists. Caitlin Clark was not in the starting lineup against Puerto Rico again. And that decision is starting to get people talking because after the first game, a lot of fans assumed the bench role was temporary, just easing her back in, just managing minutes, just giving the veterans the first run. But when the starting lineup was announced for the Puerto Rico game, Clark's name still wasn't in it. Paige Bueckers started, Chelsea Gray started, Kelsey Plum started, Kiki Iriafen started, Monique Billings started, but Caitlin Clark still on the bench. And that raises a real question. Is Team USA intentionally holding Clark back right now, or are they setting her up to control the second unit? Before we get into that, I want to ask you something. Should Caitlin Clark be starting for Team USA right now? Drop yes or no in the comments, because the reaction to this decision is getting louder. Now here's what happened in this game. Team USA faced Puerto Rico in San Juan as part of the FIBA Women's World Cup qualifying tournament, and this one was a little different from the Senegal game. Puerto Rico was the host nation, the crowd was behind them, and early in the game, Team USA leaned heavily on the starters. Kelsey Plum got going early. Paige Bueckers started finding her rhythm. Kiki Iriafen was perfect from the field. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark waited, watching from the bench again. Eventually, she checked into the game.
Of course, agendas had to be pushed. Caitlin Clark started the game on her bench. Angel Reese gets the start. Ka Copper, Chelsea Gray, Dearica Hamby, Chelsea Gray. You know what a real vet would do? A real vet would say, you know what? Here's my spot. I ain't competing with that. You know what? We're a better team if you take my spot and I try to fit in where I can get it.
And like the first game, the moment she entered, something interesting happened. The pace changed, the spacing opened up, and the defense had to start paying attention to her range. Clark didn't have the same scoring explosion this time. Her three-point shot took a little longer to fall. At one point, she even jammed her finger after missing a deep three. But then came one of the most interesting plays of the night. Clark jumped a passing lane, intercepted the ball, and went coast to coast. Layup and one.
Turn the corner. Brianna Jones. Caitlin Clark gets in the passing lane, goes coast to coast for the and one opportunity. Makes the layup off the glass. She asked her teammates, did that go in? Now she gets a chance at the foul line. She wanted the intentional. I think she got hit in the head there, but let's take another look. Caitlin Clark jumps the passing lane.
After the play, cameras caught her looking surprised and saying something that actually made a lot of fans laugh. She looked up and asked, "Did that go in?" That moment summed up the night. Clark didn't dominate the box score like the first game, but she still found ways to impact the game. Later in the third quarter, she pulled up from way beyond the three-point line. Logo range, nothing but net.
As Team USA comes back the other way, looking to punish, Caitlin Clark pulls up from deep. And those are the Caitlin Clark logo threes we're used to seeing when she's in rhythm.
The kind of shot that makes every defense panic the moment she crosses half court. By the time the game reached the fourth quarter, Team USA had full control. The Americans cruised to a comfortable win. Paige Bueckers finished with 16 points. Kelsey Plum added 12. Angel Reese recorded her first Team USA double-double with 10 points and 13 rebounds. But once again, one of the biggest talking points after the game wasn't the final score. It was Caitlin Clark's role, because she still didn't start, and now it has happened in both games of this tournament. So what exactly is going on? There are a few possible explanations. The first one is simple. Coach Carol Lawson may just be experimenting. Remember, Team USA has already qualified for the 2026 World Cup. These games are more about chemistry and lineup combinations than must-win results. Another possibility is minutes management. Clark is coming back after missing significant time with injury. The coaching staff might simply be easing her workload back up. But there's also a third possibility that a lot of basketball fans understand immediately. Sometimes the most dangerous player on the team is the one who comes off the bench. Because when Clark enters the game, she often plays against second units. And when that happens, the offense can explode. That's exactly what happened in the first game, and it's something Team USA may be trying to replicate. Still, the conversation isn't going away, because Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's one of the most impactful offensive creators in the sport. And when fans see her producing at that level, they naturally start asking questions. Should she be starting, or is this bench role actually the smartest move for Team USA right now? Let me know what you think. Should Caitlin Clark be in the starting lineup, or do you like the idea of her coming off the bench and controlling the game that way? Drop yes or no in the comments. And if you're still watching, drop Clark off the bench in the comments so I know you made it all the way through, because this story isn't over yet. Team USA still has more games in this tournament, and the big question is still hanging out there. Will Caitlin Clark stay on the bench, or is a starting spot coming next?